Hey everybody, it's your old pal Doc, and as far as content goes, this is going to be remarkably guitar free, seeing as how the city has decided that they want to do a little road work outside, which sounds like someone beating on a plastic bucket over and over and over and over, but that's okay. Just maybe an update for my tremendous fan base. I think what I'm going to do is put a guitar hanger up so that I can keep my guitars safe, because I've got a floor mounted stand like you do, but the doggies like to chew on things they can get their hands or paws on, I guess. Yeah. So that's one of the victims of their exciting life. Here's one. Isn't that nice? One of many cables that gave its life in the service of making stuff happen, falling victim to doggies who think it's a fun toy and don't really understand that not everything is a chew toy. Oh gosh, what else is going on? Well, I'll be looking for work here pretty soon. Wouldn't it be great to have a job where I edited audio or video or both? I think that would be swell. I'm going to try to shoot for that, but it may not happen. But there's a point at which you realize that you don't want to stare at a ticketing system or far worse, and so I'm gonna try to avoid some of the pitfalls of the modern workplace, and honestly, I don't want to stress too hard about any of that stuff. You come here. Yeah, look who's a bad boy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, was I playing with stuff that you want to tear up? Oh yeah. The orange cable still looks delicious. Yeah, you're a bad boy. Mm-hmm. Alright, hop down. Thank you. Well, who's next? You are a monkey rat. Proceed. You better come here. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, get in. Oh. Yeah, they're excited because lunchtime is approaching, and if I'm clumsy, then they get to eat extra. So all that background noise is from my faithful companions. What was I talking about? I don't know. So helpful. Delicious blueberry smoothie, courtesy of Southside Market Cup. That is delicious. I would like to get good work. So keep your fingers crossed for me. And hey, maybe you know somebody, right? Part of this is I'm also just testing the camera and the built-in audio. So I just want to see what it sounds like. Maybe it sounds terrible. Chances are it sounds terrible. But maybe it sounds okay and I'll use it. I don't know what choice I've got really because I didn't go to the trouble of rigging up an external mic or anything. Cold drink on a cold day. That's how you do it. So yeah, it's about time to rotate guitars out, and I'm having a hard time putting the 87 Les Paul away because it's a great guitar, and I have so many fond memories associated with it. And then the replacement, the guitar that's next in rotation is the Danelectro, which probably of all my guitars, that's the one I kind of have bonded with the least. And I mean, I get it. I'm a humongous Jimmy Page fan, right? That's not any kind of secret. And that was one of his sonic weapons of choice. But, you know, I play it and I like it well enough, but I don't love it. And I don't sit there and just get inspired by the tones and lose myself in hours of playing, which I will do with most of the guitars I have. So yeah, you would think that I would have the wherewithal to sell it, but I can't. I just can't. Largely because my mom helped me buy it quite a long time ago, and I do get sentimental about such things. If I had bought it myself, I think it would be gone. Would already have been gone. But that's just the way of things, I guess. There are very few guitars I have that I feel like are something that I would be willing to get rid of, and it's all for different reasons, you know. So yeah, car stuff. I need to rebuild the pinion on the rear end of the 65 because I'm a moron and I didn't do it immediately after pulling it out of the ground at Troy's place. It's a Maverick 8-inch, and the gear ratio was really favorable. I had a 380 to 1 gear in the 65 with a C4 automatic with a 1-to-1 top gear, which is idiotic in Texas because you go 70, 75. And you're talking about cruising at close to 4,000 RPM. Just doesn't, it's disquieting. So I got the 8-inch from my friend Troy because he had a complete Maverick assembly just laying in the mud. And after shooing the scorpions away, he basically managed to pull the ring and pinion, which was awesome. And I'm so stupid that I didn't, when I had the ring and pinion out, change the seal. Because that's a common problem. But no, I was lazy and I threw it in the Mustang, and it was all great and it was all fine and good, and then it started leaking after I ran it. I mean, it didn't leak before, it looked fine. And that job is kind of a pain. By this I mean the job of removing and replacing the whole differential in my garage anyway, because it's tiny and ridiculous, and the fact that I get anything done in there at all is well nigh miraculous. So I gotta pull that thing back out and change the parts and hope I get the preload right, Mr. Nixon. Because if I screw up the preload, what happens? Yeah, it's gonna burn up. It's gonna burn up. And who wants that? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to burn up dang old rear end. So, but once I do that, it's actually, the car is reasonably drivable, and I've even got another 2 months of inspection and roadworthiness on the tag. So, if I get my poop together and make it happen, I could drive it without having to pay extra money for a little while anyway. And we all know how much that ethanol likes to sit in the tank and just sit there and phase change and screw everything up like a Nixon. Yeah, Mr. Nixon, you're bad. So, 68 Mustang. I'd love to see it. My dad said, I'm going to send you your 68 Fastback as your Christmas present. And that was great. My dad frequently has fits of wishful thinking because he didn't. And then he said, well, I'll get it to you before your birthday, which is in March. And if it shows up, that would be awesome. My expectations are not that it's going to show up. But that's okay. I mean, it's a very generous thought. But I strongly suspect I'm going to have to figure out a way to get that sucker over here. And I mean, it's only, what, 1,400 miles? You should look at the rental rates for a U-Haul and a trailer for a 1,400-mile trip sometime. It's not inconsiderable. And the fuel expense alone is very exciting. The Ranchero is not even worth talking about right now. It just sits out in my driveway as a absolute basket case, and the wind, the eternal, constant, never-ending wind, is always blowing the cover off, regardless of what I do to make that stop. So I'm going to get serious about keeping the cover on it. But really, it just sits there, and my dad would say, it's not eating nothing. It's eating my brain. It's eating my brain. That's a project that I can't even think about starting anytime soon. I want to make sure the Mustangs are at least in the ballpark of running in such a way that should I require escape from hungry dinosaurs, I could maybe do it. That's the scale, right? Like, from the top condition of any car I own is, would I let my mother drive it? That's like as good as it gets. And then the minimum standard is, could I escape from hungry dinosaurs in it if I had to? And the Ranchero doesn't even meet that standard, and the 68 might, on a good day, maybe meet that standard. But the 65 is like close to actually being somewhere in the middle. Mom won't get to drive it until a couple of things are optimized. Suburban, that's like that thing won't die. I've got that Suburban, and it is a hateful beast. I mean, it's great. It's kind of characterful. It has the weirdest paint job in the world. What's left of it, and it just keeps running. Like it refuses to just die. One day I'll be driving down the road in it, and it's all going to explode into an orange cloud of dust, and I'm going to go tumbling down the road, wondering what happened. But until that day, it's just going to keep running and running and running and running. Like, you can't kill those low compression 70s Chevy engines because they had such low compression. My friend had a Corvette from the 70s, disco vet, and Couldn't even do a burnout with a 350 and a whatever turbo hydromatic 350 transmission. It was pathetic. But that engine will never die. Never, never, never. Never. You can't kill it. But yeah, the Suburban is so rusty, and it's just the only thing it does is drive. Like it totally, it stops, and it holds things, assuming you can get the door open to get it in there. But I paid very little for it. I actually doubled my investment in it when I put tires on it, if that's any indication. Suburban, 2 Mustangs, the Ranchero, ooh. And I mean the CBR, but I haven't. Insurance. The thing's expensive to insure. By the way, newsflash, leader bikes are really expensive to insure. And so expensive, in fact, that once I paid it off, and I paid it off really early for this reason, I wanted to take it off the road and stop paying insurance on it for a while because it just was approaching $100 a month for insurance for one motorcycle. No, that doesn't make any sense. So maybe I can find a sensible policy somewhere eventually, but even as old as I am and experienced as I am, the insurance rate is, I won't say catastrophic, but God almighty, that's crazy. $1,200 a year for one vehicle. And you can't I can't find an insurer that's going to combine it with a policy. They go, oh, it's separate. I have multiple vehicles. Well, but motorcycles are different. Okay. So we'll see if anything changes in that regard, but I do need to run it. So, officer friendly, if you could just look the other way briefly, I could stand to run it around the neighborhood a little bit. Not that anyone would notice a CBR 1000 with Repsol racing livery all over it. I mean, that's very subtle. I tend to choose the subtle choice at all times.